Hi everyone and welcome to a new episode of Day's Podcast along with a new video. I want to thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, viewing, watching, and listening. I truly appreciate it. We will be definitely putting more on Patreon and Spotify. Please bear with me. I have a lot more that I am trying to make sure that you guys have that is free and that you guys can be able to look at over and over, and yeah, things that we can learn and things we can be able to look back at too. So yes, let's get into this new episode. We are going to talk about Tamar Braxton with her debut album, Tamar. So Tamar is the debut solo studio album by American R&B singer Tamar Braxton. It was released on March 21st, 2000 by DreamWorks Records and Red Zone Entertainment. So it was recorded in 1999. The album will be 25 years old soon. And I believe she has a birthday soon too. Let me see something. Yeah, I think so. I don't know if it passed yet. Maybe. This is, when you see this video, it's definitely Pisces season. Yep, her birthday is a week from now. This is the 10th. So yeah, she is having a birthday soon. Happy birthday. The album features guest appearances from Missy Elliott, Jermaine Dupri, and Amel, while the production handled by Tim and Bob, Tricky Stewart, among others. Originally entitled "Ridiculous," it debuted at number 127 on the U.S. Billboard 200 and 42 on the top R&B hip hop albums chart. Braxton later admitted in interviews for her second album, Love and War, that she was not fond of this album due to not having any creative control. Yeah. And that happens when you're signed with a label. They don't talk about it. It's in the contract though. Okay? These contracts. But 127 on the Billboard 200, debuting, that's pretty low, and as I've said in previous videos, if you're in the top 40, that means that people can see you. I can't say that people can see Tamar, but it was more or less of a sense of how much she was able to, with the album being in number 42 in the top R&B hip hop albums chart, it's not, there just could have been more for her for this particular album. And again, she said she didn't have creative control. Before the official release, Braxton was the lead singer of the Braxtons after her sisters Tracy and Tony had to leave the group, which left them as a trio of Tamar, Trina, and Tawanda. After the release of their debut album, So Many Ways, which was that was released in 1996. We can actually talk about that album too. Yes, we can actually talk about that. Braxton was offered a solo recording contract with DreamWorks, which she happened to leave the group and begin her solo career from. In 2004, Tamar's sister, Tawanda Braxton, appeared on the reality TV show Starting Over during its second season, revealing that Tamar signed a solo contract without telling her or Trina that she left the Braxtons group. Okay. I can't. You guys know I'm unbiased, so it's almost like I understand, but I'm more or less just like, there could have been understanding. That is the best way I can explain that for this, because that's kind of what they tried to have us as consumers and fans of them to understand, even in their reality TV show as well, where it's just like, there's things that they all want to do, and there may not be as much understanding as opposed to where people understand. And yeah, she to be honest with you, if it already was a sense of that happening with two other sisters, um, yeah, I wouldn't say that there couldn't have been a conversation, though. At the same time, conversations of conversations happen, and we all don't have the ability to control that. At the same time, could they be respectful? Yeah, they definitely can. Um, in 1999, she released the EP Tamar Just Cuz to generate buzz about her debut album. The Tamar Just Cuz EP contained 4 songs: Just Cuz, Let 'Em Go, featuring Soleil, It's Time featuring Grand Puba, I think, and Get Mine. Her album was originally going to be called Ridiculous, which would have been released in late 1999. Some songs recorded for this album remained unreleased, as this project was scrapped. Yeah, so there was an editor from AllMusic that said that the album was impressive and enjoyable. Um, yeah. So, but I mean, there isn't too much of a rating. It didn't chart as high. Um, but that happens. Um, and for a debut, and she did come back with a second album, and that, like I said, is either you do well by your first and they're worried for you for your second, or you don't do as good for your second and they hope you do well for your. I mean, let me explain it again. It's either you're doing well for your first and they hope you do well for your second, as opposed to where you don't do as well for your first but they hope you do well by your second. There we go. Didn't want to not confuse. I didn't want to confuse anyone. So, yes, but the track listing. Track 1 is Get None featuring Jermaine Dupri and Emil. Track 2, Your Room. Track 3, No Disrespect featuring Missy Elliott. Okay, Missy was on here. Track 4, Money Can't Buy You Love. Track 5, Tonight. Track 6, If You Don't Wanna Love Me. Track 7, Once Again. Track 8, You Don't Know. Track 9, Can't Nobody. Track 10, I'm Over You. Track 11, Words. Track 12, The Way It Should Be. Track 13, Miss Your Kiss. Track 14, Get Mine. And then there's a Japanese bonus track, which is Count the Ways, which is track 15. Yeah. So from what I can see here, it did peak positions, but it did not chart pretty much by the end of the year. So there were other albums that had came out in 2000, I believe. Tony herself was coming out that year. So, a lot was going on in the midst of just going into 2000, as opposed to the past 25 years, okay? Shoot. I should say even more, but just for those that have been able to just kind of watch things from just the standpoint of 2000 to now, it's like, this has been a journey, okay? But I thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I'll be back with more.